Hey, welcome. Today we're going to dive into something really personal. It's this idea that our biggest weaknesses, the struggles we just wish would go away, might actually be the place where we find our truest, deepest strength. So just think about that for a second. Seriously, what's that one thing for you? That nagging frustration, that challenge that just won't leave you alone? That part of your story you have pleaded to have erased? We all have one. We're going to look at these struggles that we just can't seem to shake, but through a totally new lens. We'll use a couple of powerful metaphors from ancient wisdom, what some call the limp and the thorn. And look, this isn't about pretending the pain isn't real. It's about trying to find a much deeper purpose hiding inside of it. And it is so important to know you're not alone in this. Because let's be honest, these struggles can make us feel incredibly isolated. It doesn't matter if it's a physical issue, an emotional pattern you can't break, or some situation that feels like a dead end. That feeling of having a limp as you walk through life, it's a deeply human experience. So to really get our heads around this, we're going to jump into two ancient stories. We're talking about Jacob and the Apostle Paul. Now, these guys lived centuries apart, but their lives show this incredible, powerful pattern about how real transformation actually happens. So, first up, we've got Jacob. This guy spends a whole night, an entire night, literally wrestling with God. He's just desperately holding on, refusing to let go until he gets a blessing. But you have to see what happens here. In the exact same moment he gets his new name, his new identity, he also gets wounded. The blessing and the brokenness literally show up together. Now, the meaning behind this is just fascinating. See, Jacob had always been the clever one, the schemer, the guy who relied on his own smarts to get ahead. This limp was a permanent physical mark that changed everything about how he moved through the world. Every single step was a reminder. Nope, you don't walk in your own strength anymore. His self-reliance had to be broken to make room for a new and totally necessary dependence. Okay, now let's fast forward a few centuries to the Apostle Paul. Here's a man who had these unbelievable spiritual experiences and revelations, but he was also given what he calls a thorn in the flesh, some kind of mysterious, relentless torment. He begged God 3 separate times, please take this away. But the answer he got, it was definitely not the one he was expecting. That thorn had a purpose, to keep him humble, to keep him reliant on a power that wasn't his own. And this chart just illustrates the pattern so brilliantly. Just look at the parallels here. They both have this intense encounter with the divine. They both make a big request, Jacob for a blessing, Paul for removal. They're both left with a permanent mark. And here's the kicker. For both of them, the outcome isn't an easier life. It's a radical shift into a forced dependence and a brand new identity. So where is all this leading? Well, the answer they both got really gets to the core of this whole thing. It's almost never the answer we want, but it might just be the answer we actually need. This is what God said to Paul. The answer wasn't, okay, I'll take the thorn away. The answer was a promise. My grace, my divine strength and help, it's enough for you. In fact, he says, it's in that exact spot of your weakness that my strength actually shows up and shines the brightest. And right there, that's the core principle, redemption over removal. See, our natural instinct is to try and eliminate our weaknesses, right? To just get them out of our lives. But this spiritual pattern shows us something totally different. God doesn't always remove the weakness. Instead, he redeems it. He takes it and turns it into the very stage where his power can be put on full display. Okay, so what does this mean for us right here, right now? Let's take these big, ancient ideas and see how they can completely reframe the very real struggles we're facing in our own lives today. Think about that recurring anxious thought you have. What if it's not just a character flaw? What if it's actually a thorn that keeps pushing you back to prayer, that keeps you dependent on a kind of peace you just can't manufacture on your own? Or how about that career failure that was just so painful? What if it's a limp? A wound that, yeah, it permanently changed your path, but it forced you away from relying on yourself and pointed you in a new, maybe even a better direction. And even something like chronic pain. It feels like nothing but weakness, I know. But what if it's the very place where a strength and an endurance that you never knew you had, a strength that comes from somewhere beyond you, gets to show up for everyone to see? So this brings us to a really important moment of reflection for you. I want you to look at your biggest struggle through the lens of this checklist right here. Could it possibly be serving some kind of hidden protective purpose? Ask yourself these questions. Is it, in some strange way, keeping me humble? Does it force me to pray? Is it possible this thing is actually protecting me or even positioning me for something I can't see yet? This slide just lays it out so clearly. These are the two ways we can walk. On the left, that's self-reliance. It's exhausting, isn't it? Always fighting weakness, seeing every struggle as a failure. But then look at the right side. That's reliance on grace. It's a whole new way of living, where struggles aren't failures, they're marks of transformation. It's where you learn to walk with a limp, but you get to walk with God. All right, let's make this real personal. Take a moment. What is it for you? What is that thorn or that limp in your life? Give it a name. Just acknowledge the thing you've been fighting against for so long.
And now for the really tough question. Have all of your prayers been about just one thing, getting rid of it? Is it at all possible that the answer you're being offered isn't removal, but a deep, powerful, and totally sufficient grace to walk right through it?
And this brings us to such a powerful conclusion. This is all about learning a completely new way of walking, where your identity isn't shaped by the struggle itself, but by the amazing transformation it creates in you. And here it is. This is the ultimate reframe. Your limp is not a mark of shame. It doesn't disqualify you from anything. No, it's a badge of honor. It identifies you as someone who has been in the ring, who has wrestled with the deep things of God, and you survived. And this process leads to the most incredible result. The very thing that caused you so much pain, that becomes your point of connection to other people. Your pain builds real empathy. Your struggle gives you a unique voice. And your endurance, that gives you a genuine authority to speak to others who are going through the exact same thing. You know, maybe this could be our prayer from now on. It's a huge shift from demanding that God remove something to simply asking for new eyes to see the grace that's already there, right in the middle of it all. So, I'm just going to leave you with this one last powerful question to think about. What if that thing you've been fighting, the thing you've hated and tried to hide, what if it's not an obstacle to your life at all? What if it's the very place where your most authentic, powerful, and grace-filled self is being born?